At the construction site, everything seemed to be running smoothly. The structure was rising steadily. Deadlines were being met. Daily operations followed a predictable rhythm. Workers wore their protective equipment. Supervisors conducted routine inspections. On the surface, it looked like a model project. But complacency does not announce itself loudly. It settles in quietly. The project had entered its 6th month. The team had already completed several complex phases without major setbacks. Confidence was high. Meetings became shorter. Safety briefings felt repetitive. Phrases like, "We already know this," started to circulate informally. Complacency often begins with success. The crew was assigned to continue material installations across different levels of the structure. The tasks were familiar. The equipment had been used countless times. Everyone understood their role. During one morning briefing, the safety checklist was read quickly. Instead of engaging discussion, there were nods of agreement. Questions were minimal. The atmosphere suggested that nothing new needed to be said. That was the first sign. Later that day, a minor procedural step was skipped during equipment setup. It was not a dramatic oversight. It was simply considered unnecessary because everything looked fine. The team had done similar setups dozens of times without any issues. Nothing happened immediately. And that is exactly how complacency grows. When shortcuts do not result in visible consequences, they begin to feel acceptable. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity reduces perceived risk. Over time, attention to details slowly fades. At the construction site, conditions constantly change. Ground surfaces shift. Materials vary in weight and balance. Equipment, components experience wear. Weather influences stability. Even if a task appears identical to one completed yesterday, the environment is never truly the same. One afternoon, the site manager, Anna, conducted an unscheduled walk. She observed the team from a distance before approaching. What she noticed was not chaos, but subtle relaxation. Protective barriers were slightly repositioned. A tool inspection had been completed verbally instead of formally documented. Individually, these actions seemed minor. Collectively, they signaled complacency. Anna called for a pause in operations and gathered the crew. She did not accuse or criticize. Instead, she asked a simple question. If someone new walked onto this site today, would they immediately see our commitment to safety? The question created reflection. She explained that complacency is not the absence of rules. It is the gradual weakening of attention. It happens when routine replaces awareness, when success creates the illusion that risk no longer exists. In construction environments, the absence of incidents does not mean the absence of hazards. It may simply mean that conditions have not yet aligned in a way that exposes vulnerabilities. The team reviewed recent behaviors. They identified areas where discipline had softened. Safety meetings had become routine instead of interactive. Checklists were sometimes completed from memory. Observations were less frequent than before. Anna reinforced an important message. Strong safety culture requires constant renewal. It cannot rely on past performance alone. It must be actively maintained every day. New practices were introduced. Toolbox talks became discussion-based instead of lecture-based. Workers rotated roles during safety observations to maintain fresh perspectives. Supervisors increased random spot checks, not as enforcement, but as reinforcement. Over the following weeks, engagement improved. Workers began asking more questions during briefings. Small issues were reported promptly. Procedures were followed with visible intention. Complacency had not led to a serious event. but it had revealed how easily discipline can weaken without awareness. At the construction site, progress continued. The building advanced toward completion, yet the most important development was not structural. It was cultural. "This is what complacency looks like," became a reminder posted in the site office, not as a warning of failure, but as a call for vigilance. In any workplace, especially in construction, safety is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily practice. Confidence is valuable. Experience is powerful. Success is motivating, but none of them replace attention, because complacency does not look like danger. It looks like comfort. And that is why recognizing it early is one of the strongest forms of prevention.